Tuesday. It is Tuesday, the 25th of July, the 206th day of the year, and there are 159 days left in 2023. And welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Thom. Well, we've been to Alaska. It was a trip my wife, the Princess of Best Girl, wanted to make since she was in the second grade, and her teacher was from Alaska. So we made it. It was wonderful. It was extraordinary. Actually, we visited Juneau, the capital of Alaska. In Juneau, we partook in a salmon bake and got to watch the salmon actually swim upstream towards a waterfall. In icy Strait Point, and yes, it was icy, we partook in a seafood feast and witnessed a tribal dance show. In Sitka, Alaska, where, yes, you may have guessed, I took part in a bicycle ride and hike about 4 miles. We hiked through a wooded area where we were warned about the possibility of seeing bears. We toured downtown. We toured downtown Ketchikan, where items made by indigenous people were showcased. None of this made in China stuff. And finally, we arrived in Victoria. Along the way, we spotted whales, sea otters swimming on their backs while devouring their meals. And perhaps a major highlight was we met individuals from all over the United States. Rip and his family from Iowa, who today is probably in New Zealand witnessing the FIFA World Cup soccer. A shout out to my friend Carol and her sister-in-law, who I met on the bike ride. They reside in Texas. Really good people. And Phil, a former fireman who said he had to look me up when I told him I was an actor. And a big thank you to Tu and Joe. Tu and Joe maintained our stateroom. They were wonderful. And yes, his name was Tu, T-W-O. I imagine that was short for his full name, but that was what he said to call him. And so that's what we called him. And of course, I had to do a bike ride. As a bonus, we got to spend 2 days in Seattle. Again, it was wonderful, and I want to thank and give credit to the TWT team who not only held things together, but moved us forward. Thank you, Sean, Emily, Barbara, and Michael. You're the best. We want to thank Tammy, our travel agent, who arranged our trip. And so on today's show, our G-list guest is going to be Andie Gambrel. And July is National Park and Recreation Month. Andie is Special Events Coordinator for the city of Roswell, Georgia. Andie is a graduate of Frostburg State University, graduating in 2015. We look forward to that conversation. So, but let's get to our roundtable regulars, Barbara Wallace-Edwards and Michael Walker. Good morning, Barbara Wallace-Edwards.
Good morning, Thom. Welcome back.
Well, it's good to be back, except my hot water tank went out while I was gone. So other than that, everything is great. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well. Well, you know that means you had too much fun while you're on vacation and had
I
to rush
guess
you back
so.
home.
I guess so. But we'll get it fixed today, hopefully.
Yes.
What's happening in your world?
Well, Thom, I attended one of my family's reunions this past weekend over in Sandy Springs, Georgia, and we had a marvelous time. You had a chance to see aunts and uncles and cousins and friends, and um, it was just a glorious, glorious time. This particular side of the family had not had a reunion since 2009. So it was wonderful to see everyone. One of my aunts and uncles had not seen each other in over 40 years, and they were both able to be there. So
Well,
it was
I
a
was about to
blessing.
say, this is about the third or fourth family you've had
I got a
a
big
reunion.
family. What can I say? And we love each other, so we get together as often as we can.
Well, good deal. Good deal. And let's get Michael Walker on here. Michael, how are you this morning?
Doing well, TG. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, man. No majors. So
Great, great.
hanging in here. What's happening in
Morning.
your world?
Well, a couple things. Good morning, Barbara. How
Good
are you?
morning. I'm doing well, thank you.
Great. Well, first of all, I want to say I'm glad you had a great time in Alaska. It sounds like you did the same tour I did when I went there about some 30 years ago now. I went to Juneau, Sitka, and Ketchikan as well. But
Yeah, good deal.
unlike yourself, I didn't go on a bike ride. I went deep sea fishing
Ah,
Yeah.
in Juneau and caught some salmon. And, it's funny. The first salmon I caught was about this long. They told me I had to send it back. It wasn't a keeper. I said,
Oh,
where I come from, that's dinner tonight.
Yes, right.
I had to throw that back, and I caught another one that was closer to about like this, and they did a cleaning of it on the boat, and then a quick freeze. And I told them when I was going to be back in Atlanta, they shipped it back to me. It got back a day later, and I put it on the grill.
Oh,
And I have
wow.
to tell you, that's the best salmon I ever had.
yeah, good deal. Man,
Yeah.
those jokers are something. You watch them swim upstream. It's
Yes.
pretty incredible, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Couple things that's in the news I'd like to share with you guys. One thing is this story is very I don't know how to put it. I don't have any words for it, but I'll just say be careful. A 35-year-old Texan man lost both arms and a part of his feet to a flea bite.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
He was bitten by fleas, and they ended up setting up gangrene in his limbs.
Wow.
And he became septic, and in order to save his life, they had to amputate both his arms and his feet.
Wow.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I just want to caution everybody, being summer and being out, be careful with mosquito bites because they carry disease and viruses and flea bites and all that type of stuff. So you may want to make sure you put some off or something on when you go out like that to avoid getting bitten.
Yeah, I definitely will.
That's scary.
I've been wearing these little things. They have a scent.
Yes, the
And they
centinela.
keep the mosquitoes away because they're bad, man, around here. I walk out of my office and they just light me up,
Yeah, anytime you're around a lot of water, they tend to be there as well. So you do have to be very careful.
Yes.
That's great story, man.
One other thing, Thom, while you were away having a great time, Tommy T, the senator that wants to be called coach, he doesn't like to be called Senator Tuberville. He wants to be called coach.
Oh, I have to come back and hear about Tommy, but go ahead.
Tommy, he won't
Tommy
go away.
Tommy T was making the rounds on the media because, he said white nationalists, that's what some people call them. He called them Americans, and kind of he got hit pretty hard for saying that he's embracing white nationalists, and saying that, this is racist right here. Even Mitch McConnell, also known as the Turtle, called him on the carpet about it, the Turtle gave Tommy Tuberville a call and said, man, that's racist. You kind of need to walk that back a little bit. It was funny.
It must really be bad if Mitch had to call him out on the carpet.
The Turtle called him out. Well, now, the Turtle's son-in-law running for governor of Kentucky. He's not going to have that right now.
Yeah.
And his son-in-law happens to be an African-American Republican that's running for governor in Kentucky. So the Turtle's like, no, we're not having that round.
Right.
So Tommy had to walk that back. But it's interesting. There's a fellow by the name of, his name is Donnell Alexander. Thom, I expect he'll be calling you soon if he can get your number. He called Ronnie Brown at a financial firm to ask him about what Tommy Tuberville had to say. And Ronnie Brown responded, how'd you get my number? Who gave you my number? And hung up on him.
So go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So then he reached out to Bo Jackson.
Oh.
Got no response. Yeah. So then he called on Cam Newton, Superman. No response.
No response.
But now these guys didn't play for Tommy.
Well, I know, but he's trying to get any football player. Well, Brown did play for Tommy.
Right.
So he ended up reaching out to a fellow by the name of Atkins. He played linebacker for Tommy Tuberville's undefeated team. Mm-hmm. And they asked him about what Tommy Tuberville had been saying. And he tweeted, "What an absolute disgrace. This kind of talk must not be normalized or accepted. It's shameless." Atkins happened to be a white player that played for Tommy Tuberville. He thought it was just ridiculous. And this guy went on to ask him why none of the African American players would say anything. And Atkins said something that was pretty interesting. He says there's more pressure on Black athletes to show they are part of the program. They have to be extra supportive, and it's a heavy burden. So in other words, Black athletes at Auburn need to show that they are all in, so to speak, and buy in. And Atkins says, well, my contacts didn't help me. He's a novel. He's in the writing business. He said, it didn't help me in New York, so I can speak freely. Well, this guy that wrote the story, he had to get somebody Black that played at Auburn to talk, and he reached out to one Eric Ramsey.
Eric.
Yes. And
give a little background on Eric Ramsey. Now.
Okay. Well, Eric played back under Pat Dye, and it was before NIL was legal. And we all know that all the major college programs dibbled and dabbled in NIL before it was thought of NIL. Mm-hmm. And this particular guy, Ramsey, had gotten some support from an alumni out of Lilburn, Georgia, as a matter of fact, for Christmas. And Pat Dye had arranged for him to get a loan, and he got a lot of benefits. He was married and had a kid on the way, so they were trying to help him out, to be honest with you. And he blew the whistle on him and caused some problems for Coach Dye and for the Auburn program. I think it ended up leading to Pat Dye resigning and leaving Auburn, as a matter of fact. And we had some probation, and Eric pretty much had to leave Alabama. He's now in California as an actor. And when asked about the Black athletes, he said they have to be seen, not heard. They are free to do everything but talk, said Ramsey. It goes back to the mentality of being seen and not heard. It's just something that's ingrained in them. Those were his comments.
Go ahead on, Eric. Well, Eric, I see him on Facebook. He looks like he's doing okay out there.
Yeah, they say he's an actor now, so I guess he's in the business, in the show business, and he seems
right now
recovered. Say what?
Yeah, I say he's on strike right now.
Right, everybody.
He's on strike right now. That's true.
Yeah. But we got a comment from Jerry Lynn Jackson saying Tuberville is a straight racist fool. Let's see what he or she really thinks. He is embarrassing. I don't fault him, but I fault the ass backward people of Alabama for voting him in. Preposterous.
Right. Yes.
Whoa.
Jerry's right.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people feel the way Jerry feels.
Right.
To have coached 90% Black players for his career, to make a career off of them, and espouse the views he espoused, he's now is sort of as the lady says, ass backwards. So
yes. Jerry's a guy. Yeah, he's a friend of mine.
Oh, is he? Okay, yes. Jerry. Thanks, Jerry, for your comment. Appreciate it, man.
Yes.
Michael, you got anything else?
Well, no, that's about it. I just thought I'd share that with you coming back. So be on the lookout for your phone to be ringing. They're going to ask you something.
I'm surprised they haven't already reached out. They probably called him. They probably called Thom, but he was in Alaska. He couldn't take that call.
Thom is the dean of
yes.
Auburn football. So you're the dean of the athletes, Thom. So they got to hear from you.
Well, I think he's embarrassing. I agree with Jerry.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And I'll just tell you, here's the last thing I'll drop on you since you're from Florida and just got back. Your boy, Governor Ron DeSantis.
Another one.
Your boy is embracing their new African American curriculum, so to speak. What's interesting about this is he got 2 Black people to create this curriculum. And the twist or the tint that they're putting on it is that enslaved people benefited from that because they gained skills that they could use that would benefit them more in life. So now that's a way to put a spin on it so people that are hearing about slavery and what happened don't feel as bad. They can, feel that it was good for the people that were enslaved, which is a bunch of hogwash, to be honest with you.
I'm going to go back to what Jerry said about Tuberville.
It's
DeSantis is a straight racist fool. He is embarrassing. I don't fault him. I fault the people who
DeSantis to
voted for him.
me, and then one on my closing comment, I was going to speak on him, but DeSantis to me is George Wallace all over again.
All over again.
And I'll talk about that.
Yeah, well, the problem is slavery was not a jobs program.
Thank you.
It was an economic engine for the people that owned the slaves. That's how they built their wealth.
Right.
But it was not a jobs program. It was not like they were going to training school.
And they didn't benefit from slavery. They brought the technology and the information and the knowledge from Africa with them. They taught these people here something that they didn't know. So it didn't benefit.
But that's not part of the curriculum. So you got to leave that out.
Yeah, well,
a false narrative. That's what that is.
Very much so. Barbara, you got anything else?
I do want to mention one other thing, Tom. I want to say, the world lost a legendary crooner on this week. Tony Bennett passed away. And for those who don't know, Tony, was known for hit songs such as The Way You Look Tonight and I Left My Heart in San Francisco. He passed away at his home in New York City. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2016. And I think he was 96 years old. So great loss.
Yeah. Blessings to Tony's family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else from you guys? So
I'm done for the day.
We're gonna move on. Our show today.
I'm gonna drop the mic.
You gonna drop it? Okay. All right. I'll pick it up from here. Our show today, of course, is sponsored by the Best Girl Consulting Firm. Let's hear from Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
It's the solution that fits your needs. So let's go to Sean. I think she's got a minute for us this morning.
Good morning to everyone joining in with us. My name is Shantia Jones, and this is Got a Minute. The weather has been in the high 90s, and with the excessive humidity, heat indexes have touched the triple digits and has made it to 100 degrees or higher every day for the past 4 weeks in Florida. There appears to be no end in sight, with hot, dry air from the Sahara yielding clear skies overhead and allowing sunshine to pour down. The extremely hot water temperatures off Florida's coast are intensifying the state's ongoing heat wave and could make hurricanes worse. Now, before I go, I'd like to say happy birthday to the Americans with Disabilities Act, which was signed into law by President George H.W. Bush in 1990. The legislation provides civil rights protections to individuals with physical and mental disabilities and guaranteed them equal opportunity in public accommodations, employment, transportation, state and local government services, and telecommunications. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Shantia Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
All right. Okay, well, let's go to the G list. Hollywood's got the A list, and here on Tuesdays with Thom, we have the G list. Now, G list guest today is Andie. What's Andie's last name? Andie, I'm sorry. Anyway, it's Andie. I will get back to that in just a minute. Andie is a certified park and recreation professional that has been working in the field since 2015. as I scroll through my list of stuff here. Gambrel, Andie Gambrel. She works for the City of Roswell Recreation Parks and Historic and Cultural Affairs Department located in Roswell, Georgia, just north of Atlanta. The City of Roswell Recreation Parks Historic and Cultural Affairs Department has been nationally recognized with the Gold Medal for Excellence in Parks and Recreation Management by the American Academy for Parks and Recreation Administration. Her tenure includes cultural affairs, recreation programming, and special events. She loves constantly moving around parks, planning events for all ages, working with different city departments, and getting to be at all city events. Thank you to Andie. Let's go to Andie. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being with us. So tell us about you and what you do, and we got a bunch of questions for you.
Well, awesome. Yeah, so I grew up in Western Maryland. I kind of like to say I was always in the field, just growing up, going to summer camps, doing athletics, and kind of all that fun stuff you do as a kid that you don't really kind of recognize as being put on by all the adults around you and volunteers and all of that. So when I went to college, I really thought that I wanted to be a teacher. I did about one semester and quickly found out that it was not the way that I wanted to interact with kids, and I wanted to give them more of some hands-on learning activities and kind of really just help create just positive experiences and memories for them. So I changed my major and found recreation, and through college I started working at different summer camps and just any other ways that I could at that time work with children. And I just loved getting to watch them grow and just really provide like a fun, safe space for them. So when I graduated, I had moved to Georgia with my family, and when I got here, I just quickly saw a whole new world of what recreation really is and really could be. Growing up in Western Maryland, there was a lot of what I like to say private recreation opportunities as far as your ski resorts and lake resorts, and they were really a lot of opportunities that were very associated with tourism at the same time. So some of those were also very dependent on the weather. So moving to Georgia, of course, the weather is way nicer than Western Maryland. There is not nearly as much snow. So I really start to see how there were more municipalities around here really getting to establish these year-round activities that everyone could participate in, whether it was December, the day before a holiday, or it was the middle of July and we were celebrating the 4th. You could really just see how it was year-round. And that's when I kind of knew that that was more the path I wanted to take versus kind of staying with camps and that.
And what was your major?
So my major was recreation and parks management, and I focused in community development.
Okay, good deal. And you came out of college and got this great and wonderful job pretty fast, huh?
Pretty fast. I pretty much only had time to move here, and as soon as that happened, I was already working for the City of Roswell. I started part-time with them, working in athletics. So at that time, it was just kind of once all the full-time staff went home, I was left to kind of make sure lights were turned on, make sure games were getting started, make sure teams had the equipment, umpires and officials were showing up for kind of whatever sport was happening at that time, whether it was soccer or basketball, and then got hired full-time and have just moved around some here and there doing different roles within the department, and now I do special events.
You know, I probably shouldn't say this, but I will. You're a friend of Emily Hedrick, who works with us, and you and Emily kind of
Yes.
look alike a little bit there. So
We do kind of, yeah.
you do. So maybe you're related. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's
Anyway,
a Maryland thing.
Barbara, you got questions for Andy?
I do. Good morning, Andy, and thank
Good
you for being with
morning.
us today. As a product of a kid who grew up in the community and was involved in a lot of events and in our rec and park system there in Mobile, I want to thank you for what you do because it's so vitally important for kids to have something to do in the summertime and after school and so forth. So
Yes.
talk about some of the events and things that you have established for the children in the Roswell area.
Yeah, so right now I do special events, so they're really the large city signature events. I have in the past with the department, I have worked with summer camps, and some of those summer camps have included either just your traditional day camp, which is your 9 to 4 kind of, we do all the fun stuff, go to the pool, arts and crafts. We also worked on some more fun ones. I've done ones we've built forts outside where the kids get to work really hands-on with more construction style equipment, hammers, nails, still heavily supervised, but get that more hands-on, and then have done some STEM camps and activities. And then some of our after school activities have been, of course, like child safety courses of really teaching like being home alone by yourself, being just aware of your surroundings, and then just kind of survive. Like we've done some survival ones, some fun ones. We really try to focus on what the community wants and kind of what we have listened to them come and tell us that they want to see, and kind of plan around that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I imagine as soon as school is out, your hands become fuller.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. We are very busy in the summertime across the entire department. We are all hands on deck, and it is everywhere from, of course, seeing a giant influx of kids, and there are people who will come and they're here visiting grandparents for the summer, or they're just in town and their families are taking them to the parks and they're showing their friends kind of the city and the parks and getting to interact that way. So we definitely see a large influx in the summer.
Okay. Michael?
Good morning, Andy. And
good morning.
Thank you for joining us. And tell us a little bit about the Gold Medal of Excellence Award that you won to start with.
Yeah, so that is awarded to parks and recreation departments that are recognized by the National Rec and Parks Association, which to be recognized, departments go through different standards that they meet, different operational procedures, and through that each year, departments are nominated either by people within their department, and they present kind of all the things that they've accomplished throughout the years and that meet all of those standards. And they are awarded based on population ranges. So each city or department, depending on how the department is run, some are run on a county level, some are run on a city level. And so dependent on that population range of who they're serving is where they will fall into that category. And then each year, whoever is nominated, one of them wins. And it's really an award that is really displays kind of all the work that departments do.
It's okay, Andy. You can brag a little bit. You guys won the award.
Yeah, we won. It's a lot of hard work for departments. It is just really meeting a whole bunch of different standards that people that are not in the field just would not ever think about.
Okay.
Well, now, did you compete within the state of Georgia too? Or I think you said it was national, right?
So that one is national, and then states also have their own recreation and parks associations. And And that is also throughout all the states. You can usually just go online and Google like the state of Washington recreation and parks, and they kind of, everyone in that area will get together, and then each state is set up a little different, but for the most part, kind of the same. Of they work with all those departments and kind of recognize them also through their own state.
Okay. When I was a kid and used to go to the rec, you know, they always sent you to the rec to hang out in the summer and stuff.
Right.
Go up to the recreation league, go there and
Right.
do that. And I
Right.
always wondered, the people that were in charge, how did they get that job? How are they the ones in charge and telling us what to do and open up doors? And now I get to meet someone.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a lot of people here that also call it the rec, and they're just like, "Oh, you work at the rec?" And we're like, "Yeah, we do."
Well, I can tell you, when we would get out for the summer, we'd get out. I went to Catholic school. We'd get all out on Friday, and on Monday we had to go to vacation Bible school.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, come on, Mama,
Oh, yeah.
you know? And
Yes.
so you did that for, I don't know how many weeks. And
2 weeks
you
for
know,
us.
yeah, it was to take up that time. And now I think
Yes.
about it, and it's like, well, I guess she was getting us out the house, giving us some
Right.
positive stuff to
Yes.
do, you know?
Right.
Yes.
Other questions, Barbara,
Yeah.
Michael?
So Andy, how many parks are in the Roswell system? How many are there? Multiple locations?
There are multiple locations. We actually manage about just over 900 acres of
Oh, wow.
parkland within the city.
Okay.
We have 4 really well-developed recreation centers that offer the full kind of gymnasiums, classrooms, rental spaces, and then we have a handful of other places where we either program for very specific kind of city needs as far as adaptive recreation or adult recreation, and then rental spaces.
Okay. Wow. That's great. And I know you're like events, special events. You're over special events. What type of
Yes.
special events do you have in the city?
So I do all of our, what we like to call signature events and city sponsored events. So our crowd size is usually within the hundreds to the thousands. So it's anything like your traditional tree lightings, 4th of July's, street festivals, city movies. We do kind of some special summer ones, and we do like a giant slip and slide for anyone to come out. Memorial Day, 9/11, Veterans Day, those bigger ones. And then there are other people in our department that work more on the smaller ones, the kind of more ticketed ones, like your daddy-daughter dances, your mother-son, your kind of health and wellness ones. And then those smaller ones are throughout different supervisors in our city.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Andy, when you're developing your curriculum or your schedule for the year, do you do it a year in advance? How do you guys work? Is it a year in advance? And then the other part of the story is, how do you break it down into segments versus, you know, kids that are in elementary school or high school and all of that stuff? How do your programs are custom tailored to your needs?
So our events, we're pretty lucky where you are able to do that through the year. We have so many events that are either fall on a holiday. So kind of our Memorial Day, our Veterans Day, our 4th of July are going to fall on that holiday. So every year I know, okay, 4th of July, you are working sun up to sundown until the fireworks go off. And so those we're really lucky to know for the whole year ahead of time. Or we're like the 3rd Thursday, the 4th Saturday. And then our programs, the ones that people sign up for, pay to participate in, we do those seasonally, and we start working on those the season before. So for, let's say, fall and winter classes, that's something we work on in the spring. So we kind of traditionally work on them about 6 months in advance. And most of our programs, we kind of do season after season. So of course you have like your fall sports or your traditional after school programs that you kind of know you're going to do every year. And it's either going into it knowing you're going to just tweak it a little bit, or you're trying to get more people, build more teams, or kind of focusing on those smaller pieces outside of the getting people to participate.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I remember, going back to the term rec. We used to have what they call rec league basketball and stuff like that, and rec league football. You guys still do that, where you coordinate a league for younger kids to play football or basketball and soccer, and you end up really being a feeder for the schools that they end up going to. Is that right?
Yeah, so we actually do, of course, your recreation, that is a feeder. We also, and that is for football, lacrosse, soccer, basketball, and mostly all of those are from like your kindergarten to high school. You do kind of see some of that participation in those rec specific leagues drop off more in high school, because of course they're participating in their actual school teams, but it's still, for some kids, a really good opportunity because they just want to kind of hang out with their friends and just play a sport that they like without the pressure of being on a school team. And we also have different like select and travel leagues that for like baseball and like lacrosse, where it starts at that younger age of kids who really just are either excelling or they just want to get more into a sport. And then we work with other surrounding counties, other city departments, and plan out more of those with their also like travel teams and excel kids in those sport areas to plan those leagues.
Cool.
So, Andie, what type of staff do you have to assist in all of these activities? Because it sounds like there's a lot going on.
We have a lot going on all the time. So our department is split into 7 different divisions, which is also why our name is such a long name.
Right.
So we're broken up into recreation, which is just general recreation programming. That's the camps, that's the health and wellness, the pool, all the summer activities. We're broken into athletics, parks, which is kind of like our operations of making sure that the parks are taken care for as far as like landscaping and kind of capital projects, special events, which is my division, cultural affairs, and historic affairs. So one thing that our department has, which is our historic pieces, is not usually something that's built into the recreation departments. Usually with a lot of other cities and counties and places, it's its own kind of entity of that city. So ours is put under our department, and we have about 111 full-time employees.
Wow.
That are spread throughout the entire city. And then in the summer, we pick up our part-time and seasonal employees to about 400 somewhere.
Wow.
And that number, and that includes counselors, lifeguards. For some things, we just have to bring on more instructors or more people to kind of just help facilitate the influx of participants that we see in programs.
Wow. Right. That's great.
That's a big operation. So you're considered a city employee then, basically?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Wow. Well, that's a big operation. Tell us, what does it mean to be a certified park and recreational professional?
So that is a certification done through the same national program as what is the same one that I was talking about earlier that awards the gold medal. So the National Parks and Recreation Association, they have their kind of professional standards test, which people in the field are able to sign up and take. And it is kind of just any of your other professional certificates where you learn about finance, human resources, operations, and programming. And then you are tested on those competencies and you want to pass. And then you are considered a certified Parks and Recreation Professional, and that is kind of the entry one where you will see a lot of people who have been in the field for a while. As long as you start to see people who have been in the field about like 3 to 5 years. That general starting point is when you see a lot more people acquire it, and then it goes up to an executive level. And then they also have different kind of ones for your pool, for recreation, just financing, and they have a little bit more niche ones as well.
So how long have you been there?
I have been with the city since 2015.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're a veteran almost. Then, huh?
Yes.
It feels like it. Yes.
So let me add, I 1 year back when I was younger, I worked in the recreation area in the projects of Birmingham. And because my friends was there and they got me a job and I would work with them. But there was always somebody, because you're young, who feels like they can challenge you. And so, you know, I ended up with me and this guy, and he felt like he could challenge me. And anyway, we went to the mat, and I had to kind of, shove him around a little bit. And let him know who was the boss.
Who was the boss? That's right.
Yep.
Have you had to let anybody know who's the boss?
I have absolutely had to do that. Of course, kind of just working with all varieties of people. We work with vendors, sponsors, just like independent contractors, people that just want to come in and kind of teach things. And then, of course, just the public. They obviously I work for them, so they like to, there are times where they come in and kind of start to kind of wonder why we do things the way that we do it. And it's really just knowing that, of course, that I am a city employee and I am really working for them, and just really trying to figure out at the end of the conversation, what is it that they're really trying to accomplish? Is it just they're trying to gain an understanding? Is it something they want to see changed? Is it something they want to see created? And it's really just a lot of getting down to the bottom of what they're really wanting or what they're really trying to ask.
Okay.
So in other words, you weren't like Thom. You didn't get physical. You did a mental butt whooping, huh?
Yes.
That's the best way.
Yeah, I remember there was one time I was at the time working in my building, and we don't really give out equipment that's not, we have the spaces for people to participate in things, and you're more than welcome to come and use the soccer field whenever you want if there's not like a soccer team on there. Well, I had these people that were visiting from somewhere, and they came in and they were asking to borrow some equipment to take out on the field for themselves. And I was like, unfortunately, that's not something we do here. And the guy just was not really accepting that answer at all. And he looked at me straight in the eye and he said, "Can I talk to someone who works here full time?" And I had to look at him and said, "I work here full time."
You got a temporary employee.
I had to really explain to him, yeah, I know that I'm young and you don't really like my answer, but this is the answer I have to give you.
Right. That is the answer.
Yeah, there's always somebody that wants to come to the rec and
yes,
act a fool, pretty much.
There is. Yes.
Sometimes
there is. But
I can say that. You may not be able to say that, but I can say
we do for the most part have a very, very receptive community who they love the work that we do. They love that the work that we can offer them. And there are a lot of people where we do kind of help with whatever they're trying to do, like our free play options. We kind of will put a basketball goal down for the really little kid that shows up for the 20 minutes that they're there for. We bring out the little Tikes kind of basketball, or we set it up for the kid trying to practice his layups for his upcoming whatever. So we do kind of get to find that balance with everyone that we interact with.
So
That's great.
before you go, I just want to ask about Frostburg State University. Tell us a little bit about your school.
Yeah, so I actually grew up very close to Frostburg. When I decided to go there, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And honestly, I was just like, I'm just really glad that I got into college. That was like the goal of this. So I'm glad we did that. And then I can kind of just figure out where to go from there. And it actually became a excellent school for the work that I wanted to do. There were a lot of course, like recreational activities. There were a lot of things in Western Maryland that we were really able to work hands-on with. So Frostburg is kind of it's not kind of, it's actually a very small town. The entire county probably has about 20,000 people. It has maybe grown since then. But when I left, that's about what the size that it was. So Frostburg itself, very small, but we were able to, our coursework, to plan the actual city event. So it was this relationship with the city and the students in those courses that we were there to get that experience, and we were able to do it. So by the time that I came out of Frostburg, I had already planned and really worked on a handful of different city events, just kind of working with the professionals in that area of just getting the experience that I feel like I really needed when I graduated.
Okay, good deal. Barbara, Michael, you got any other comments or questions for Andie?
I do want to just, not necessarily a question, but can you tell our viewers who may not know exactly where Roswell is located, a little bit about the city?
Yeah, so Roswell is located about 25 miles outside of Atlanta. So traffic time, that's about an hour outside of Atlanta on a good day.
A good day, yes.
So we, for a handful of our for our programs, really where people sign up, we see a lot of just, of course, local residents sign up. For our city events, we see people all the way from downtown Atlanta all the way up into Roswell, really, who are coming to participate and interact. Roswell is located right on the Chattahoochee. So we have a handful of parks that are located along the river, and it is a great place in town for people to come and kind of pick what styles of recreation they want, whether it's active or passive. They can sign up and participate in something, or we have so many opportunities for them, even just along the river, to take a walk or get in the river and kind of go take a canoe, a kayak, something like that out. And our population is about 93,000 people right now. So we're definitely growing. We're definitely getting bigger year after year, and seeing a lot more of like new families come in, and especially people that are coming from, they're ready to move out to the suburbs, and Roswell and kind of some of our neighboring cities are the ones that they usually decide to pick. And yeah, it's really a great place to be in this line of work.
Great.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Andie, is there anything you'd like to comment on that we didn't ask you?
No, but I have just loved being able to really like talk about what I do and getting to share kind of my insight and knowledge of recreation and parks. Right, the National Recreation and Parks Association, their theme for July, of course, is National Rec and Parks Month, is where community grows. So if anyone is outside looking for something to do, go to the park.
So we talked a lot about younger people, children, and what you do for them in terms of recreation and games and so on and so forth. Do you also is the park a place for seniors?
In Roswell,
play checkers and dominoes and things like that.
In Roswell, I am going to say absolutely. We actually have a amazing adult recreation center that is programmed just as much as any of our other kind of spaces. They have anywhere from your computer classes, dance classes, yoga, interactive kind of health and wellness ones, card games, libraries, just kind of social time. They have bocce. We also have a adult indoor pool that is only for our it's for our citizens that are 25 and older, but it's connected to our adult recreation center. So we see a lot of that population just going back and forth between them. We have it's also connected to a handful of different kind of like pickleball courts, tennis courts. We have also a handful of places that have paved trails that are depending on some of the mobility that you definitely start to see in some older ages, they can still access, whether that is them kind of just taking a short little stroll, or if they are in a wheelchair and someone needs to push them, then they still really have that full opportunity as well.
Okay, well, thank you very, very much. Anything else from Barbara, Michael? I think we're good. Well, Andie, we want to thank you so much for being with us. Your sister Emily says you guys are sisters, so
Yeah.
she's on here watching, and
we really do.
You do.
Our like facial shape is
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And,
yeah,
all that you
absolutely.
talked
Thank you
about.
so much.
Okay, and best. Okay, well, my closing comments for today, or as I see it, growing up and living in Alabama in the 1960s, you learn to live with the comments about our governor, George Wallace, and his stand in the schoolhouse door refusing to allow the University of Alabama to be integrated. You, along with the rest of the country, got to see our city daily on national television as the war over integration was fought on downtown streets and in downtown parks. Birmingham, to its credit, has worked diligently to change that image of the city, and I'm proud to say I am from Birmingham and make that point wherever I am and wherever I have lived. But now I live in Florida, and the reaction is equally embarrassing. Where do you live? The question was asked many times while we were on the cruise. As I said, we met people from all over the country. Florida would be the response, and one woman commented, "Oh, I'm sorry." Many commented on the embarrassment our governor has become as he grandstands to make political points while hurting people along the way. Like George Wallace, he is doing and saying what he is doing and saying to make political points. And those of us who don't believe in that are caught up in the web of his silliness. On the flight home, an Asian man sat next to me. I watched a movie, he watched the news, and we were very friendly. And as we were getting off the plane, he reacted to a story about Florida's governor and his politics. And rather than go into the particulars, I'll just say the governor reminds me of George Wallace all over again. Once, while I was on the football team at Auburn, we were flying out of Montgomery, Alabama, and the governor at the time, George Wallace, sat next to me at the airport as our college football team was leaving. And it was a big deal because there were only two black guys on our football team. And I was probably the more, quote, radical of the two of us. At least I had an opinion, and that, an opinion at that time made you radical. And the governor sat down next to me and he said, "Believe it or not, I'm on your side." I've always remembered those words, and I'm still trying to figure out what the hell he was talking about or what he meant. But that governor, Wallace, was a man who admitted later in his life that what he did and what he said, he did to make political points. What a shame. And now we've got another one doing it to make political points. What a damn shame. And that is how I see it on this July 25th in the year 2023. That's our show for today. I want to thank the audience. We appreciate you. Thank our G-List guest, Andie Gambrel. Thank our sponsor, Best Girl Inc. Thank again to the TWT team, Barbara, Sean, Emily, and Michael. And that's it for this July 25th. Remember to enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe. Peace.